Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome to another episode of True Crime Thursday. I usually say True Crime Tuesday on Thursday, but I think that may sound better. Shit. All right, let's see. Make sure we're on here. We got to get a thumbnail. Says True Crime Thursday, too. That's what my daughter said, Layla. That's what my daughter said. She was like, your picture still says Tuesday. And I was like, yeah, because I still say True Crime Tuesday on Thursday. She's like, you need to change it. So yeah, I do need to. How's everybody doing? Hope you've had a great day. We are having an extreme thunderstorm right now with like hundreds of strikes of lightning. I think they had one earlier today in North Carolina. I can't remember where exactly it was, but they had one in North Carolina and they got 451 lightning strikes within like a very short amount of time. It's crazy. Okay, Ty Ty. All right, so you guys know how we start it. If you're over on Facebook, make sure you come on over. There's a link on the page. You just have to go out of the live, scroll up. You'll see it. Go ahead and click. It'll say live now on YouTube. Click that. You can come on over here to YouTube and join us. Driving to Myrtle to pick up my babies, watching this lightning show. Yeah, Beth, it's bad. Should be Thriller Thursday. Oh, I like that. I thought about naming my other channel Stethoscope. I was going to do just true crime over there and I was gonna name it, the Stethoscope Sleuth, but I decided just to stay over here and doing it. Yeah, I missed you guys yesterday too. I decided to take off when I think Tibby was still live when I went to sleep. She was live, she had a little marathon over there. You're in North Carolina and we got nothing, really? Yeah, it's bad. So if I have like if my Wi-Fi starts getting scary or anything like that, it's just because of the storm. Hopefully we're good, but hey, hey. Thriller Thursdays, Thursday thrillers. I like that. I like that. I had to go my childhood. Oh, you're talking about last time? Yeah. It's hard. I got the bus today, not late today. Yeah, I wasn't late either. I actually went live because I had scheduled it at 9:07 because YouTube does like gives a 30-minute like warning. That's what I call it. A 30-minute warning. So I try to make it to where there's at least 30 minutes for them to give you that 30-minute, hey, she's going live in 30 minutes thing. Thank you so much, Londa. Yes, he is perfect. I mean, he's my G baby. So, of course I'm going to think he's perfect, but he has got the dimples coming in and that blonde hair and blue eyes. He is just adorable. I watched the replay of Tuesday's True Crime and man, was that awful. Yeah, Carrie. That was a rough one. Hey, Phoenix. That was a rough one for sure. Yeah, it's just because it's so hot. Like it is extremely hot. So, but yeah, if you're over there, she went almost 11 hours. Yeah, I knew she was live like 3 times. I was like, yeah, I even text her and I was like, hey, I'm taking off tonight. Like, I see you're still live. Um, yes, Shamita. So her Facebook is Tibby Tipster, I think. She got a bunch of her pages taken. The only page she kept on Facebook was the one that somebody had given me that I then gave to her. So she does have one Facebook page that she admins. Like she's basically an admin on it because again, it was given to me. I gave it to her. But so yeah, she's got one over there. I think it's Tibby Tipster. And then if you type in the URL what is it? Chi Town Scream 3, then you'll find her. Is true crime to Brock's brother? No, but I did share that over on Facebook. So if you guys didn't know, just a little story. You got some of you guys know who Dime is. 2K covers her a lot. Um, they call her Diamond, Dime, Dusty Dime, different things. But she did a live where she basically set up her brother, and her brother just went to jail. He's a convicted murderer, and he was in prison for I think they said 20 some years, 27 maybe. He was in prison for a long time, and he got out. And Dime went live on her Facebook. I think it was Facebook, and she did like a dating show basically, and hooked up her brother with this chick on the show, right? Or the chick that came up. Well, they got him a bus ticket and they sent him to Texas to visit this woman. Now, here's what I think's crazy. The woman, and it's not her fault. I'm not trying to victim shame or victim blame, but the woman had children Somebody who has children, why would you let a man that you don't know, never met in your life, clearly has a record, was a convicted murderer, and even if you didn't know that part, why would she let a man come to her house to stay? Like, I just can't. But anyway, so she lets the man come. He's supposed to stay just for a couple days, but I guess he wouldn't leave. So he ends up staying for 17 days. And he says he'll leave, but she has to buy him a bus ticket. Apparently, she bought the bus ticket, but then he didn't want to go on the bus. A fight happened, and he had a pew pew and told her that she was going to drive his ass home. So she loaded the car up with him, her brother, which was an adult, him, it was her, him, her brother, and two of her kids. She loads up the car, and it was like this. However, I mean, it took several hours to get there. And he tried to pew pew her brother in the head, and the kid knocked his elbow, like hit his elbow, and that's the only reason he didn't. He was putting cigarettes out on this lady. He punched one of her kids in the face. He ended up pew pewing, I think he let off like 4 shots in this whole car ride or whatever. Um, but yeah, so he got arrested, of course, and that I put the news story on my Facebook. But yes, he did get arrested for it. But yeah, it was like a ride from hell going back. So basically he got charged for kidnapping and then all the things that he did. You read the article? Yeah, I posted it on Facebook. But yeah, so Dom, again, that was the outcome of her dating show. I just couldn't imagine. It is crazy, right? All right, let's do this one, guys. What do we think? Who do we think? We got one, two, three, four, and five. This is their weapons: a ready whip can, a flip flop, an iron, a spatula, and a lunchbox. I feel like dude number four takes the lunchbox to work. I feel like he takes the lunchbox to work, guys. What do y'all think? Number one, I don't know. I don't know. Number two's giving a little grin like that ready whip is for him. Like he did the ready whip. He said we was getting a little down and something happened. Right, Harmony? Yeah, Shonda. I mean, her kids will be forever haunted for sure. She's too happy. All right, let's do you said flip flop. Let's do that one. I feel like that lady oh, let's not okay, let me see what else we got. I don't know why. Flip flops one. I feel like um threes for spatula. All right. What else we got? Hey, hey. You guys don't think the number two would be the whipped cream? One looks like the iron. All right. So which one? We got whip. Somebody said number five for whipped cream. So we'll do flip flop for him. Let's see what we got. Oh, snap. Look at us. Oh, man. You guys, if we would have flipped the whipped cream and the flip flop, we would have got all five of them right. I knew he looked like he was, I knew it. I knew he looked like somebody with some whipped cream, honey. Mm-mm-mm. Yep, number one was the iron. Number two was whipped cream. Three was the spatula. Four was the cooler. And five was the flip flop. If we would have just switched two and five, we'd have got all five, honey. Look at us. He might be the whipped cream. That's what I said, Dimitri. See, Dimitri was thinking. If I could have seen your comment, that's what I said. I was like, mm-hmm. Right? Look at all the green beans in here. I love it. I love it. All right, let's see what this next one is. Make sure if you're on Facebook, you're coming on. Oh, look, he done shaved half his eyebrows off. Make sure if you're on Facebook, you come on over. Is that the like thing? Is that they have like eyebrows, weird eyebrows? I think that's they all have like a theme or whatever. But guy number five don't have really weird eyebrows. But it looks like they all have half an eyebrow, except for five. So, but what they do is they like to group the people based on something they have alike, whether it's a t-shirt or hair color, or like one was all braids, one was all like rugrat shirts. So they try to like put them together. But we got one, two, three, four, and five. We've got domestic violence, battery on a police officer, lewd and lascivious behavior. Lascivious? lascivious, stalking, and Kokiana. Thank you, CP. CP gifted 5 membership. Dimitri got one. May got one. Layla got one. Baby doll got one. And Stephanie got one. Congratulations. And make sure that you guys opt in to allowing gifts. It's in your YouTube settings. If you don't opt in to gifts, then that means you can't get a free membership. Thank you so much, CP. 3 looks like your neighbor. All right, what do we got? What do we got? Who do we think is domestic violence, battery, lewd acts, stalking, and Kokiana possession? 3's probably Kokiana, I feel like. Either he is a stalker or the Kokiana, I feel like. Awesome, Brandy. Hey, hey. Anybody got an answer? Congratulations, everybody. Yes, CP. Old lady, you have to opt into gifts first, and then YouTube just chooses them at random. You never get them right. Hey, we work on it together. We only do 2 every true crime episode. You're late again, Rhonda. See, that's another reason why I play. I let people, come in that are a little bit late before we start the videos. Number 4 is the stalker. All right, we'll do 4 stalking. All right, let's do Kokiana possession. You think number 3? They look like they all have that. Domestic violence, battery on. I don't know why I feel like this lady is battery on a police officer. Number 3, I thought that too. Lyric, I thought 3 too. Lewd behavior, number 1. Okay. I feel like this late. Let's do it this way. I feel like she had battery, and let's do domestic. And let's see. 2 out of 5. What did we get right? Well, we got lewd acts. Whoever said lewd acts was number 1, got it right. Oh, battery on a police officer, got it right. And then we missed the last 3. So we got 1 and 2 right. I knew she looked like she beat up a cop. I don't know why. See, what did I tell y'all? I said number 3 is either Kokiana possession or stalking, and I missed it. It was stalking. Number 4 is domestic violence, and number 5 is Kokiana. Look at you, CP. Gifted 10 memberships. Try Jesus, not me, got one. Texas Girl got one. Bo got one. PR1 got one. Jessica got one. Wendy, Coral, Marlena, and Holly. Hey, hey. You see your new TV, right? And Nita got one. Thank you so much, CP. Look at y'all. Turned almost everybody in here green. I love it. Congrats to everybody. You thought 4 was Coca-Cola? Yeah, I knew number 3 was either stalking or Kokiana. CP the GOAT, right? CP's the real MVP. Hey, hey, Thomasina. Number 5 be on that pauta. All right. So Facebook, that's where it ends for you. If you're on Facebook, I'm going to say goodbye. Like I said, there is a link on the page. If you want to click that, you can come on over. Thank you to CP who donated 15 memberships. Look at that. Laya, make sure you have it where you can accept gifts. Yeah, I text Julie and I was like, Julie, you should just send Tina Bina the money on Cash App because I don't think Tina has her gifts on because she's been around too many times. Like Julie gifted so many the other night trying to get her one. I was like, you may as well just send it to her Cash App because I wish I could do it to where I could just like you could send me money and I could just pick, but I can't do that. It won't let me. So I've got exciting news. We're gonna have a baby outlaw soon. Oh my goodness. Congrats. That is amazing. Congratulations. That's awesome. You get to have another little baby outlaw. I know that's right. Congrats. That's awesome. All right. You my channel here. All right. We got 2 videos today. Congratulations. You're having a baby. Right. So exciting. All right. All right, let's get to this video after I tell Facebook bye. Oh, somebody else donated. Oh, you donated 5 more? Oh my goodness. Micah got one, November got one, Shelly got one. Miss Angie got one. Congratulations to all the winners. Miss Angie. Oh, Dancing Diva got one. Micah got one, November. Congrats to everybody. Thank you so much, CP. CP, the real MVP, honey. Yes. I'll probably be going live this weekend in there just because there's a good amount of people in there now. And so yeah, I'll probably be doing a live in there sometime this weekend. Yeah, I miss you guys too. Butterfly, it's in your settings. The best thing I would do is just Google how to turn GIFs on YouTube. Hey, Vicky. Yeah, we're on sub only. We've been on sub only since before it started. Mandy, it's in the settings somewhere. So I would just Google how to turn on GIFs on YouTube because I don't know exactly where it's at, but I know you have to turn it on. It says you have to opt in, which it's like a little toggle button that says allow GIFs, but I don't know exactly which setting it's in. Yeah, definitely. Okay, Maria. Yeah, definitely turn those on because people have really been generous and, donating. That way people can see what's there and what's going on and how everything works, and then they'll have a choice once their month ends, then they'll be able to either renew it or not. So it's awesome. EMS, so not everybody has that option on their phone. So like I have an iPhone and I cannot hit the dollar sign. I cannot let me get the link real quick. I can't hit the dollar sign. I can't hit other people's green stuff. I can't do none of that. It will not pop up on my phone. So I know it does that for several of you guys, but for a lot of us it doesn't. Like mine doesn't do it, Tibby's doesn't do it. So that's why we had to do the link. We had to get the link for people because everybody kept saying, just hit the green thing or, hit the dollar sign. And I kept hitting it thinking, what am I doing wrong? And I think it's just it depends, on what phone and all that stuff that you have. There we go. There we go. If you guys want to join, you just have to click that link. All right, let's get into this video. Oh yeah, Facebook. Let me say bye to Facebook. Yeah, some people can push the dollar sign, but not for everybody. Maria. Only works for I don't know if it's like because I know some Android people said it didn't work for them. So I was thinking at first it was an Android thing until I realized I couldn't do it. And I was like, well, shit, I can't even do it. So yeah. All right, let's get into this.
Dream of winning the lottery, but for these winners, their dreams come true turned into a deadly nightmare.
Ever since I won the lottery, it's like we've had nothing but bad luck.
That was the case with Abraham Lee Shakespeare, who won a whopping $31 million in 2006. After taxes, he took home just under $17 million. Shakespeare was generous to the people around him, and they took advantage of it.
I often tell people that when Abraham Shakespeare won the lottery, the entire community won the lottery.
It took only a couple of years before most of the money was gone. And at that point, Doris D.D. Moore offered to manage the $2 million Shakespeare had left. However, she also isolated him and eventually impersonated him in text messages sent from his phone. By that point, relatives grew concerned and called the police, but it was too late.
Florida man won a multi-million-dollar lottery jackpot. He probably didn't realize he may well have been setting off a bizarre chain of events that would end with his murder. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis for our series, Crime and Punishment.
Abraham Shakespeare probably thought he was the luckiest man in the world when he won $30 million in the Florida lottery in November of 2006. But his luck would change in a horrific way. And now this woman, Doris D.D. Moore, is on trial for his murder. Moore sobbed in court today after jurors listened to audio recordings of her allegedly agreeing to a scheme in which another man would take the blame for Shakespeare's death. It was the latest bombshell in this scandalous trial.
There was a person he knew who was willing to take the rap for his disappearance for what I think we will, what reports say is about $50,000.
Shakespeare went from washing dishes and working garbage trucks in Lakeland, Florida, a suburb of Tampa, to what he thought was the good life. But that quick pick ticket quickly turned his life upside down.
I really would like my old life back where I could walk the streets like a normal person.
He spent most of the money paying off mortgages for family, friends, and some complete strangers. Many new friends came into Shakespeare's life, including Moore, who offered to help manage his money. In this home video, you can hear her asking him about his situation.
Do you get tired of people asking you for money all the time, Abe?
They don't take no for an ounce or so.
3 years later, the money had all but disappeared. And then Shakespeare did too. He was last seen in April of 2009, but wasn't reported missing until November, when Nightline spoke to the sheriff investigating the case.
Where is Abraham Shakespeare?
We have no idea where Abraham Shakespeare is.
On January 28, 2010, police found Shakespeare's body underneath a concrete slab, buried in the backyard of Dee Dee Moore.
But you know I'm not the one that shot him. I wouldn't hurt.
Then who did, Dee Dee? Tell us.
Moore's maintained all along she's innocent, but the 40-year-old is now charged with first-degree murder, facing a mandatory sentence of life in prison. Prosecutors paint a picture of Moore as a conniving manipulator, intent on taking Shakespeare's cash. First, she allegedly tried to convince Shakespeare's mother, Elizabeth Walker, that her son was still alive, just missing, orchestrating a phone call with someone claiming to be her son.
He said, "It's Abraham." And I said, "Well, you don't sound like Abraham."
Then her ex-husband, James, testified that he dug a hole with a backhoe and then covered it up at his former wife's request.
You pay attention to what was in the hole before you filled it?
No, sir.
But the prosecution's star witness is Greg Smith, a mutual friend of Moore and Shakespeare's turned police informant. In secretly taped conversations, Moore is heard spinning an elaborate web of lies. Yesterday, Smith described the pains Moore allegedly took to write a forged letter to Shakespeare's mother as though it were from her son, who happened to be illiterate. The letter starts out with, "I am gone and don't have to come back."
Don't worry about Dee. If she goes to jail, she will be okay. The charges won't stick.
Today, the tape where she allegedly agreed to the scheme where another man would take the blame.
He could cop a deal.
Even if he cop a deal, it's going to be on him.
And perhaps the most incriminating exchange, Smith testified she drew pictures for him of how to find Shakespeare's body, telling him to get rid of it and burn it.
She wanted me to burn the body, so I had to give her, during that time, a list also of kerosene and such as you would give cattle water in for me to be able to burn the body.
Yet another courtroom shocker, Detective David Clark testified Moore got so desperate after he caught her in another lie that she offered to have sex with him.
Shout out to Bridget. She said, "I knew Shakespeare. He was like my dad's godchild. He grew up with me till I moved away with my mom." Oh my goodness, Bridget, that's wild. Yeah, if you ever win the lottery, you can have a lawyer represent you to where they won't put out your name, they won't put out your picture, and nobody will know.
Told me that she could get a free room at the Hard Rock Casino and her perform sexual acts on me.
In one of the secretly recorded conversations with Smith, Moore told him,
I've never been through nothing like this in my life.
It's time to get ready.
She went on to say they'd have to write a book about their experience when they turned 80 years old. If the prosecution prevails, she may be writing it from jail.
Tonight, the end of a story we've been covering for months. Dee Dee Moore will spend the rest of her life in prison. Tonight, after just 3 hours of deliberation, a jury handed down their verdict. Moore is guilty of killing Abraham Shakespeare. Now with why Abraham Shakespeare's family was so sure they would get justice. Good evening, Allison.
Good evening, Brendan. That is because they say they knew Moore was guilty all along, but the harshest words did not come from Shakespeare's family. They came from the judge.
State of Florida versus Doris Donegan Moore.
Stone-faced, unlike past tears or smiles.
The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Dee Dee Moore simply shook her head no, while her victim's family nodded yes.
She had everything she wanted, and she still didn't have enough, and she took his life.
Jurors took 3 hours and 16 minutes to decide whether Moore planned to kill Abraham Shakespeare, once a lottery winner who deposited $13 million into a bank account. Witnesses say Moore stripped bare before killing him.
And this person that did this, he's going to be able to have a lifetime to think about it.
But family members saved their words for outside the courtroom. It was Judge Emmett Battles who spoke directly to Moore, a woman he scolded several times for her emotional outbursts.
Cold, calculated, cruel, they all apply. Manipulative, probably the most manipulative person that this court has seen. Abraham Shakespeare was your prey and your victim. Money was the root of the evil that you brought to Abraham.
And with that, he sentenced Moore to life in prison without parole.
If we're going to carry on, life must go on, one way or the other.
Moore's sentence does not include the possibility of parole, but she does have 30 days to appeal.
Owen Dillard scored not just one, but 2 five-figure lotto wins in less than a year. But that wasn't the only reason why people in his Bronx neighborhood remembered him as a great person. They also knew him as someone who would help with baby strollers or carrying bags. News outlets spoke to multiple neighbors and family members who described how kind and helpful Dillard was.
Anything you need, he'll give it to you. That's what we don't understand. Why would somebody hurt him?
The 73-year-old Dillard knew he didn't have long to live. He had medical problems, including cancer, and he'd been told he'd make it only a few more years at most, but even that time was stolen from him. When returning from work in 2018, Dillard's fiancée found him stabbed to death in his apartment. There was no sign that someone forced their way in. A month after Dillard's murder, police arrested his 45-year-old nephew, Idris Abdul Muhammin. Tragically, before police managed to arrest him, Muhammin killed a woman. In 2022, he was sentenced to 24 years for both killings. Tiffany Hill won the lottery in November 2020 and was murdered only 8 months later, but it wasn't immediately clear that her big win was the reason for the killing. Hill didn't get the implausibly huge windfall some lottery winners do, but at over $2 million, it was nothing to sneeze at. Shortly after she won, she married John Donato, and the couple moved away from Hill's family, bringing her 1-year-old daughter with them. However, Donato was abusive, and Hill decided to leave him. She didn't get away in time. Tragically, Donato killed Hill and himself, along with Hill's young child. While their deaths might have had nothing to do with the money, it's hard to know exactly what happened.
Could that have sparked that argument? And we'll never have any way of knowing. But I do know there were times that caused conflict between them.
Winning the lottery sometimes means collecting millions, but even a fraction of that can be life-changing. Gregory Birch Jr. wasn't even old enough to drink when he won over $400,000 in a Georgia lottery game. However, he would have very little time to enjoy his winnings. In the 2 months before he was murdered, Birch bought Christmas presents for underprivileged kids. According to prosecutors, the people who would eventually kill him were angry that Birch helped the children. They felt he was showing off his newfound wealth by handing out the gifts. Birch was specifically targeted because of his winnings. When his killers broke into his house, they demanded money before shooting and injuring him. Then they left for a second, but returned minutes later and killed him. Birch's children and girlfriend witnessed his murder. 7 people were charged with Birch's murder, ranging in age from 17 to 28. In the end, they got away with just $200.
We've kept these officers on this case around the clock, 7 days a week, till we got it solved.
In 2020, Jonas Lucas Alves Diaz won the equivalent of over $9 million playing Brazil's Mega Sena lottery. 2 years later, he was found by the side of a road and taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. Police found that he had been kidnapped, held for over 20 hours, and severely beaten. The police made clear that this was no coincidence and that money was the motive for the killing. It was well known that Alves Diaz had recently come into a small fortune, and after he won, he didn't change his habits. This made it easy for the people who wanted to harm him. His family said he went for his regular walk the day he was kidnapped, but never returned home. According to Juliana Ricci of the Specialized Division of Criminal Investigations of Piracicaba, they knew who he was, they knew his routine, and they knew that he had a very privileged financial condition. After Alves Diaz disappeared, his kidnappers tried to get money from his account. They weren't able to transfer the money, but they still somehow managed to get $4,000. In 1996, Jeffrey Dampierre Jr. won $20 million playing the lottery in Illinois. Sometime later, he and his wife divorced, and he met and married Crystal Jackson. The couple then moved to Tampa, Florida. While Dampierre supported his family with the money, in the end, Crystal wasn't happy about the win. Interviewed by News Channel 8 in 2015, she said of the financial windfall, "I think it is a curse." That's because in 2005, Dampierre was killed by Crystal's own sister. Victoria Jackson and her boyfriend Nathaniel Jackson lured Dampierre to Victoria's apartment. Then they bound him, kidnapped him, and shot him in the head. Trigger, but during her trial, her attorney said that she was controlled by Nathaniel. They also claimed that she had been groomed by Dampierre since she was 15, and that Nathaniel Jackson was jealous. In the end, the jury found Victoria Jackson guilty of all charges. She was sentenced to life in prison. In her News Channel 8 interview, Crystal spoke about one small but poignant way the murder affected her life, saying, "I don't play the lottery at all. I don't touch it because I'm afraid if I win it, I would sit down and cry." Dampierre was murdered years after his win, but that wasn't the case for Arush Khan. He was killed just hours after the lottery cut him a check for his winnings, but at first, no one thought his death was a murder. Khan had tried to give up gambling, but in May 2012, he slipped up by buying 2 scratch-off tickets.
He was heavy on that, I would, there was a time that he would buy a whole book.
One of the tickets won him $1 million, and after taxes, Khan walked away with just under half of that. He planned to use his winnings to expand his dry cleaning business, but the money never made it to his account. On July 20th, hours after eating, Khan complained that he was in pain and died. On August 15th, his estate cashed a lottery check. The coroner first ruled that Khan had died of natural causes, but a relative pushed for an autopsy. It turned out that Khan was killed by cyanide. Despite a clear cause of death, Chicago police remain stumped. As of 2025, no one has been arrested in Khan's death. Khan's daughter and second wife went to court over the money, various properties, and the dry cleaning business, eventually splitting it up between them. A parent going to prison is traumatic, but imagine you're the person that has to put them there. This really happened to Joseph Roncaioli Jr., who had to testify against his father after his dad killed his mom. When he took the stand in 2008, Joseph Jr. painted an emotional picture of his parents. He said his dad, Joseph Sr., was a good father who was around, quote, when he had the time. His mother, E.B. Roncaioli, abused alcohol and gambled. Joseph Jr. testified, "She was always off to the casino with her friends. She was proud of her record on the slot machines." In 1991, E.B. won $5 million in the Canadian Lotto, which was about $3.7 million in US dollars. This, combined with her husband's career as a doctor, should have meant that the family was well off, but Roncaioli spent most of the money without telling her husband. She gave cash to 3 sons, Joseph Jr., his half-brother who lived with the family, and a second half-brother the other 2 sons didn't even know about. Joseph Jr. said, "The lottery was gone and 30 years of a man's income, so there is nothing. It just blew my mind that it was gone. Everything was gone." Roncaioli died in 2003. After his son's testimony, Joseph Sr. was convicted of injecting her with a deadly dose of painkillers and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Doris Murray got a fabulous 41st birthday present when she won $5 million in 2007. Since she chose annual payments instead of a lump sum, she could have had a comfortable existence for decades to come, taking home about $172,000 a year after taxes. Despite this, she lived on very little. Her plan was to put most of her winnings away for her grandchildren and build herself a new house. But almost exactly a year later, she was dead at just 42. The murderer was her own boyfriend, Derek Lorenzo Stanley. According to police, her family believed Murray had broken up with Stanley or was planning to, and may have been dating someone new. Stanley was helping Murray move things out of her home after it suffered some fire damage, but when her family members showed up to help, he refused to let them inside, and he fled, clearly covered in blood, and led police on a car chase. Murray's body was discovered in the house. Police caught Stanley once he crashed the car, but he tried to claim that the couple had been fighting over a knife which injured both of them. Eventually, he admitted to stabbing Murray. In 2017, the Georgia Supreme Court upheld Stanley's conviction for Murray's murder. Some people dream of never working again after a lottery win, but Lee Cost was already retired when he won a tidy $250,000 in 2007. The 78-year-old splashed out on a Rolex and 2 Jaguars, but the win came with a dark side. People were burglarizing Cost's home repeatedly, and the last robbery ended with him dead. According to police, the killers weren't part of the previous burglaries, so multiple people obviously had it out for Cost and his newfound wealth, but only 4 of them chose to kill him to get their money. 3 18-year-olds and a 26-year-old set it up so that a door to Cost's home was left unlocked after he took one of the young women to dinner. She allowed the other 3 to enter, and they attacked Cost, brutally beating him and demanding cash and the PIN for his bank card, and then shot him and took off in one of his Jaguars. In the end, the flashy car caught the attention enforcement of police who pulled them over for speeding. While the 3 teenagers agreed to testify against the man who actually shot Cost, it was the 26-year-old shooter Terrence J. Maya who faced the death penalty. To save his life, he pleaded guilty to the murder and was sentenced to life in prison.
Jack Whitaker won how much money on what day?
He won $314 million, and it was on Christmas Day, 2002. He decided to take a one-time payout of about $113 million after taxes.
You say that you are blessed. This was not luck. You have already decided what you're going to do with the money. The first thing, you're going to pay your tithes to your church.
Yes.
How much is that going to be?
About 13 million.
You know, you're like that story in the Bible in the New Testament on the man who gave servants the.
So how many of you guys, if you won the lottery, would take the lump sum? This is Jack Whitaker. He was in West Virginia. He won $314 million and decided he would take the lump sum, which was $113 million. Now, Jack Whitaker was already rich. He was already worth $12 million because he had become a successful businessman, and I think he was president of a company. But yeah, so he was already a millionaire when he won this. He's the guy that I talked about that got $500,000 stolen out of his truck outside of the Pink Pony. The briefcase was just in his truck outside the strip club. His house caught on fire. I mean, so many things happened to this man after he won this money. Sadly, he did pass away though in 2020. But yeah, $13 million to his church. I mean, this man was given money. And sadly, it was the downfall of most of his family. Lump sum to you, lump sum. I'm taking the lump sum because what happens if because one lady, when I was like looking up stories or whatever, there was one lady, it didn't end in tragedy. Like nobody passed away like these stories, but one lady, she took like over the next 20 years, I think she was on Oprah. Yeah, she was on Oprah. And her winnings were like $478,000 a year for the next 20 years. Excuse me. So that's what her and her husband took. But so many things happened to her. She had to move out of New York. She didn't talk to any of her friends because she was like, people would say, you know, I need 5,000 here. I need 4,000 here. And she said she just couldn't say no. And they ended up broke shortly after. They were taking trips and buying everything. But yeah, they ended up basically trying to like get the money that they were owed for the next 20 years. So yeah, taking care of me since being sick. I'm glad you've got somebody there, Lakita. But yeah, 13 million to his church.
The talents,
yes.
And then he gave one 5 talents and it multiplied into 10. Obviously, you're doing God's work with all this money.
Yes, I am. I'm helping a lot of people, and I plan to help a lot more.
Initially, after Jack won, his good impulses were on display, saying he was going to give money away to churches, give money to individuals. It turned out that he started acting on some of his bad impulses quickly too, and he started going to local strip club, and at one point, and he was taking large amounts of cash into this local strip club, and at one point he was robbed in the strip club.
So what was the first thing he did with his money?
The first thing he did was tithe to 3 churches and set up a foundation, and on a more quiet track, he also started celebrating in some sort of nefarious ways with the money. Within 2 or 3 days after winning, he went into a strip club in Cross Lanes, West Virginia, the Pink Pony, and put $50,000 down on the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people were not used to seeing that kind of money.
And that's why he got robbed at the Pink Pony. Like I was telling you, the Pink Pony was right over the hill from the racetrack. There was a Greyhound racetrack right on the, like right there in Cross Lanes. It's still there. Back then it was very much smaller than it is now, but yeah, the Pink Pony was right there. I don't know if it's still there now. You guys know that's where, you know, I lived there for 11 years in West Virginia. So, but yeah, that Pink Pony, I mean, if you lay down 50,000, people are going to find out who you are. Then they find out you won $100-some million. Yeah, you're getting robbed for sure.
Down on the counter, and the managers were worried that cash would attract trouble. And eventually it did. Jack and an occasional entourage would go back over the months to the Pink Pony. And they would also go to places like the Tri-State Racetrack and Gambling.
It was right
Sort
there.
of wherever he went, he attracted attention of young women, and he started to get into trouble. In March of 2003, he, according to some women who've since sued him, he sexually harassed some attendants at the racetrack. He just got too big for his britches, they would say in West Virginia, and sort of was rough with these female attendants. At the Pink Pony, the people who worked there said they saw a change in him where he went from being very celebratory about getting the money to being very domineering. You're gonna do what I say because I have all this money.
In this picture that opens the article, you have Jack Whitaker, and then off to the left is his wife. Her name again?
Jewel.
Are they still married?
I believe they're still married, but they're not together.
It's not really, Rabbit.
And this has happened since the money?
Yes. That was one of the real tragedies in this story. By all accounts, they had a very strong marriage. Jack and Jewel were childhood sweethearts. They came from poor families in the hills, and they were different. He was always a character, dressed in black like Johnny Cash, big black cowboy hat, kind of a showy fellow. Jewel was very quiet, very strong religious beliefs, went to church, prayed, dealt with her family, small number of friends, was not an outgoing person. They responded to the win in very different ways.
And that's why you don't, if it's public info, but if you get a lawyer and you get a lawyer to represent you and stuff, your name does not become public info. There's a way to do it. You just have to hire a lawyer. So that's why I say that, because a lot of people don't know that. But yes, if you win the lottery, go straight to a law office, then hire a lawyer, or go to your lawyer if you already have one. But yeah, they can make it to where it doesn't come out like that.
From the start, Jack started staying out late at night, which was something new. And it broke Jewel's heart when he wouldn't come home. And she has since said that winning the Powerball ruined their lives, and that if she had it to do over again, she would have ripped up the ticket instead of collecting the winnings.
I mentioned the granddaughter. That's the next part of the story. What was her name?
Brandy Bragg.
And what's the story?
Well, that's, the most heartbreaking strain of this story.
He was giving her too much money.
When you first won the lottery, because Brandy was so much the apple of your eye, did you give her money?
I gave her about $2,000 a week.
And how old was she?
She was 17.
So you're giving a child, a teenager, $2,000 a week.
She was very responsible with her money.
But you bought her a number of
$2,000 a week in West Virginia back when the opiate epidemic was full on opiate, like when the feds were coming into Charleston and all. I mean, it was huge back then. And they were realizing how big of a problem it was. And he was giving her $2,000 a week.
Cars, didn't you?
Yes.
How many?
4.
4 cars.
So it's a 17-year-old with 4 cars. Again, was that altogether sensible?
She can only drive one at a time. To a young kid, cars mean a lot. And I'm very proud that she had 4 cars.
Surrounded by the toys and trappings of wealth, Brandy started to attract new friends, including her first serious boyfriend, Jesse Tribble, whom she knew from grade school. But Tribble's father was unhappy about the relationship.
I know firsthand she bought things for Jesse. I was real upset about it. He come in here in a Michael Jordan basketball jersey. It was $200 and some at Sport Mart. Come walking in here, he had on a gold necklace. He had on a pair of tennis shoes that were probably $180.
The spending sprees continued, and the couple started indulging serious drugs. Soon, they were hooked.
I think Jack maybe was trying to shower her with gifts and love and whatever, and it was almost like she was destroying herself with it.
She told me one time, she said, "Papa, all I care about is drugs." It broke my heart. We did everything that we thought humanly possible to keep her away from the drug dealers, to keep her money off drugs, to keep her occupied.
Jack checked Brandy into 3 drug addiction treatment programs, but they didn't work. Brandy had become a hardcore drug user.
Yeah, CP.
Brandy's demeanor was that, you know, there's nothing wrong with me. You can't help me. And she says that all she really wants to do is take drugs. She doesn't want to be in charge of the money. She doesn't want to inherit the money. She just looking for her next drugs.
Tribble's father also tried repeatedly to guide his son away from Brandy and her money to get him off the drugs.
He had been in and out of the probation because of the being caught with some drugs. And so we were battling that, and he was actually coming around and doing well.
But any chance he had to clean up his act ended in September 2003 at an empty house owned by Jack Whitaker.
An empty house.
Tribble had overdosed. He died in the night, face down, on a bed in this room. His father felt that the lottery millions had claimed his son's life.
I'm going to say this with total conviction. I blame her for my son's death. I hold her accountable.
With the death of her boyfriend, Brandy was isolated and depressed. She dropped out of school and then disappeared altogether. Jack's wife, Jewel, made an emotional appeal on local television for their missing granddaughter.
Brandy, please come home. We need you here with us at Christmas time. We need you in our lives, honey. You're so dear and precious. Please come home.
Brandy never went a day without calling me and talking to me, so I knew she was in trouble. You know, deep in my heart, after 5 days, I just knew that she had to be dead or she would have been contacting me.
No, Katie.
On December the 20th, 2004, their worst fears were realized. Brandy was found dead, wrapped in a plastic sheet and dumped behind a junked van in a place called Scary Creek. The cause of death was listed as unknown, but Jack Whitaker believes that the blessing of his Powerball win had become a curse upon his family.
My granddaughter's dead, probably because of the money.
You really believe that?
I really believe that. I know I really had my arms around her and protected her before I won the lottery. And once I won the lottery, there wasn't enough of me to get my arms around everything, to hold it and protect it. She was the shining star in my life. She was what it was all about for me from the day she was born. It was all about providing and protecting and taking care of her. You know, my wife had said she wished that she had torn the ticket up. Well, I wish that we had torn the ticket up too.
Jack Whitaker now makes a weekly pilgrimage to his granddaughter's tombstone. It's a fitting monument to a child who was set to inherit a fortune.
I pretty much lost everything I held dear in my life.
You got lots of money.
Wow.
Is that not enough?
Money has never meant anything to me.
And lost his wife.
You have to have money to exist in this world, but money doesn't rule the world. Money is not what makes people happy. You know, family is what is dear.
And now you've lost your granddaughter. You're about to be divorced from your wife. Where does this ever end?
Well, I don't know where it'll end, but you know, I don't like Jack Whitaker. I don't like the hard heart I've got. I just don't like what I've become.
Mr. Tribble tried from the start to get his son away from Brandy because he saw these young men were being arrested around her. He saw that his son was using drugs and that he felt like he would never get his son off drugs as long as he had a ready supply of cash, which he did when he ran with Brandy. Brandy had thousands of dollars every day, and so the boys around her, she was generous with them. They had thousands of dollars to spend every day. And Mr. Tribble felt like at one point he'd succeeded. He tried tough love. He tried turning his son into the police. He struggled in all the ways you think a parent would struggle to get his son away from a bad situation. He thought he'd succeeded when Brandy dumped Jesse Joe. Jesse Joe came home. He finished high school and summer school. He was working in his dad's shop. And then one day he didn't show up. And unbeknownst to his dad, he had recently gone back to Brandy. And Jessie Jo was found dead in Jack Whitaker's house of an apparent drug overdose. Then within a matter of weeks, she was dead of an apparent overdose. And she was found abandoned in the back of a house that I had visited, looking for her at one point and looking for friends of her. Jack Whitaker, since all this has happened, has basically blamed other people. He's blamed drug dealers for corrupting his grandchild. He's blamed newspaper reporters for writing about some of the less savory things he did with his money. And I don't know what he does at 2 a.m. because he hasn't talked to me, but at least publicly he has not taken responsibility for any of this. You know, I've sort of heard over the years that winning the lottery is not necessarily all good. It's a mixed experience, but I think everybody has the fantasy that they'd know how to do it right. If they won the lottery, they would remain stable and they wouldn't blow up their lives.
Goodness. Can you imagine winning all that money and then losing everything? Yes, I'm so sorry, Hood Billy. That's awful. But there was, what was 10 cases or something like that of people that lost their lives shortly after winning. And then you have Jack, who, I mean, his house burned down. He lost his granddaughter. His granddaughter's boyfriend was gone. He got divorced from his wife. He got robbed several times. But he ended up passing away in 2020. So, I mean, that young girl had everything she could ever dream of. She could have started any business. I mean, she was left to inherit hundreds. Well, he didn't have hundreds, but she was left to still inherit millions, and could have done anything. But I think giving a 17-year-old 4 cars and $2,000 allowance a week is probably, especially you have to think that area at the time. I know not all teenagers would take that money and go to drugs, but in that area of West Virginia, there's really nothing to do. For young people, there's not much to do, and a lot of because of the coal mining industry and all the coal miners back in the 90s, you know, they were prescribing them lots of pain medicine because they were having to crawl sometimes in 54-inch, you know, tunnels and bend over and, you know, go in there and get the coal out. And so, you know, that's how it started. And, you know, then it just became a total epidemic. And in that period of time, like, you take a group of probably 10 teenagers, and I guarantee you, probably 7 out of 10 have dealt with some kind of drug in their, you know, drug issue in their family, or seen it while they were growing up, or are in it themselves. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that she got in with, you know, the wrong people that were around her and showing her ways to say, hey, we could, you know, we can go here and get this for this much. And it's awful. Probably like having 5K a week today. Yeah. These stories are always so sad, but interesting at the same time, right? He should have set it up with stipulations, right? Business investments, a trust, not just giving her the money. And like he said, she could only drive 1 car at a time. I mean, I can understand having like a sports car and then like a truck, because there's 2 different things. Like when you want to go out and, you know, have the sports car convertible or whatever, and then when you want to go mudding and shit in the mountains, I can see maybe having 2, like 2 separate types, but 4, I just think that's a little too much. Peel mills were everywhere. Yeah. I mean, so bad. Really unfortunate, right? You have all that money and then it just goes all wrong. I mean, just like Abraham, he ended up, I think the lump sum he got like 17, was it like, I think he had like 17 million, and he ended up he spent it all. Like, he was paying off people's mortgages. He was, you know, trying to help all his family, even people he didn't know, he paid their house off, things like that. He was trying to help a lot of people. He ended up getting down to 2 million. And that's when that lady that got sentenced to life, that's when she came in and said that she would help manage that last $2 million. And apparently she had access to the bank accounts. And I mean, what mother, like, she had some guy act like he was Abraham and call the mother. Even if you haven't been around your kid, you know, your kid's like, what was he in his 40s or whatever, you know your child's voice and you know their mannerisms, the cadence of how they speak. You know your child when they get on the phone. And for her to have some man, first off, she was texting and then they kept pushing, like, I want to speak on the phone to him. And so she had a dude get on there and act like it was him. And the mom was like, this don't sound like Abraham. I mean, like, most moms will know what their child, can y'all hear her? Can you not hear me? Let me see. Yeah, I got sound. Yes. I did actually have another story, but we're already at an hour now. So I will just save that until Tuesday. Remember when you can order meds off the internet? Someone asked me to do it. I said, no way, you're crazy. Well, people are still ordering some meds off the internet, but yeah, like you get on the dark web and stuff. Wild. And then they had, they had those secret sites where people were selling them and stuff. There's a documentary about one boy who did that. Dope 6 series tells the story of a doctor becoming addicted to opioids. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. He was illiterate. So he was texting, he was doing all these things, and then she even went to the depths of writing a letter to his mother. I guess she didn't know that he was illiterate. He couldn't read and write. So his mother immediately knew that that was not him. Since when did he learn to write or read, So yeah, she messed up along the way quite a lot. Quite a lot. But yeah, those were definitely those stories. Just like the guy, I just couldn't get over that one guy that he died hours after he won. He was poisoned with cyanide. They knew he was poisoned with cyanide and nobody's been arrested. And his estate cashed the lottery and lived and got to live the money, got to live the dream of having the money. And he passed hours later. And it was cyanide. Like as soon as he got the ticket, realized he won, hours later, he's gone. They know he died of cyanide, but no one goes to jail for it. As of 2025, no one's went to jail or been charged for his poisoning. Like, did they say, hey, we'll pay you off? Because I feel like that's the only case where that works. How does a person who just won the lottery, so obviously there's motive, they know he died of cyanide poisoning because one of the family members pushed for the autopsy. And then the estate cashes the check, but no one ever gets charged. You can order blow on the net and it actually shows up. Comes from BC where it's decriminalized because they have so many ODs due to tainted products. Oh, wow. I think it was a documentary I saw on Russia where they have like little campers and stuff and they give them like the stuff, they give them the drug, they give them the needle, they give them everything because they feel like they're eventually probably going to kill themselves anyway. And they can at least do it clean and not spread like HIV and stuff. The pharmaceutical company owners are, oh yeah. Purdue Pharma, come on. That's a whole doc in itself. Several docs I think have been made. Everyone is getting schooled. I've looked it up. I just haven't done a video on it. There's just so much that comes up as far as cases and stuff. And then people give me ideas. So I have looked it up though. You've told me a couple times. I've heard too many of these stories over the years. No, thank you. I will not try to win that type of lottery. Lots of money does wild things. I've seen too much. I think that's why if you do play the lottery and you are into that thing and you do win, I think that's why you need to I'm always for, like, if you don't have the knowledge or you don't have the resources or you don't know something about whatever, go to the experts. Go get a lawyer, go find somebody who knows what to do in these cases and get help from from experts, people who know what they're doing. I think that's in any aspect of your life. I feel like if there's something you want to do or something that comes up, go to the people who are trained and who know how to handle things like that. I think that's always good advice for sure. And don't go on the news and announce that you won lottery, that you won this money. I know it's tempting to be because you're all excited and you want to hold that big check on the news, but that's like the worst thing you can do. Get a lawyer, have the law firm, or sometimes they'll put it into like an account to where it's basically not your name. It's not, I guess it's kind of like a business account or an LLC or something like that. I don't know exactly what it's called, but they can put it into something like that to where, like somebody said, it's public info, but they can put it to where your name's not going to show up. That way people don't, that you knew in high school call you and say, "Hey, I saw you won 300,000, $300 million. Can you hook me up?" Yeah, Christine, you've been sending me stuff about the missing kids in Nova Scotia. That's I couldn't imagine that. Those people, yeah. Well, I thank you guys so much for joining me for another true crime Tuesday on Thursday. another thriller Thursday. Thank you guys so much. I will be back later for Malarkey. I hope to see you guys there. If not, I will see you next Tuesday for another episode. And thank you guys so much. Bye.